On this episode, an SR20 gets pushed to its limit, we frighten a guy, and my car goes on fire. Let's get it! What's up guys, and welcome back to the Drift Games YouTube channel. It's off-season time, which means we are now going to try and complete some of the projects that have been sitting on the shelf. Well, this one has actually been sitting on the shelf for over a year. So about a year ago, I swapped a BMW M3 supercharged Pandem car that I had for this 180SX drift car. And the idea at the time was to try and get it ready for the season last year. We had a lot of bad luck with the car. When we bought the car, the head went on the car, then the rockers went on the car, then the head went again. This all happened on the dyno. I'd never even driven the car. And then we took it to Dunleary last year for the championship round, and it didn't run right again. So we knew there was just something more internal wrong with the car. So in the meantime, we've actually built a fully forged engine for the car. And the purpose of this car, well, it's now not just going to be called the orange 180SX. It's actually going to be my bash car. So I'm going to use it for practice days and all of our bashes in Mondello Park and any sort of demos and stuff that comes up over the year. It's a little bit overkill for a practice car, but we're going to make it look really cool. And over the next two parts of this essentially series on the channel, we're going to bring it down here first of all to get the engine running and get the car working correctly at TDP, Trackday Performance, with the Link ECU that's in the car and make sure everything's 100%. And then we're going to try and do all the aesthetics to the car. Because it's not a full competition car, we can actually make it look really sexy and kind of the way I want to make a 180SX look without having to worry about it being super competitive. So it's going to look pretty cool at the end of it. So we're going to go talk to Robbie, get this car ready to rock and roll, and we're going to explore a little bit around TDP as well, and maybe some of the surrounding areas in this video, so check it out. Under the bonnet we have a fully built SR20 by Current Motorsport, who did the engine in our blue 180SX, and as you can guys from last year, you'll know we ragged that car for bashes, for competition, for everything, never had any trouble. So it's the same engine in this. It's a different turbo setup, it's actually a better, smaller turbo setup than this car. Garrett turbo, fully rewired car, everything kind of that you would do to make all the old parts from the 90s a little bit more reliable. So everything's been upgraded. It's actually a very high spec car, which we're going to use as much as we can. The only thing different about this car, as you'll notice, is it doesn't run a big front bumper bar. It doesn't have all of the stuff cut out like the other car has.
The back's also standard.
The back is completely standard and it runs a standard fuel tank. So it's more sort of engine-wise and setup. It's got a wise valve version 2, so it's got all kind of very high competitive stuff on it, but body-wise it's a pretty stock car. So instead of chopping it all up and making another competition car, we said we kind of retain some of the natural parts of the car, and you know, they're getting rare now in this kind of condition. So actually chassis-wise it's very, very clean. So we're gonna basically hook all the sensors up. We're obviously gonna get this car connected up to the hub dyno and all that kind of stuff, and start plugging into the Link ECU. And it's on a base map now, it's running a little bit over fueling from the last map. So we're gonna try and see what it does today. Robbie, quick question for you. We never really ask is why you guys use a hub dyno as opposed to a rolling roller. What's the difference?
Well, why measure an engine with a rubber band? Because that's what a tyre is basically. So there's a huge amount of potential problems with using a tyre interface. Maybe not so much with road cars that run on the road tyre, but on a race car, say a proper race car that uses slicks, you wouldn't be able to use slicks on a rolling road because they'll actually disintegrate on the rollers. So then you have to use a different tyre, which is not like what they actually drive on the track. So people often complain that, oh, a rolling road's the most accurate because it's the same as driving the car down the road, which it's not, because you don't have two small contact points.
So we've got the car here, it's on sort of a rough map that it was on the last sort of map that was on the car, last engine. What's the first steps you guys do?
Because it's a fresh build, we do start doing a bit of run-in, just so we're running at medium boost to get the fuel in spot on and just play with the timing and stuff just for maybe 30 minutes, because when the rings are new, they're running on the peaks of the honing pattern in the bore, but you want them to actually bed into that. And what bedding an engine actually means is they knock some of the peaks of the honing pattern off to make them a plateau so that they run on more of a flat area. You can break an engine in on the dyno much more efficiently, more controlled, and in a much safer environment without having to do huge amount of kilometers. So to break that in driving, you probably need to do 400 and 500 kilometers to get the same amount of time as I can get in 30 minutes. At full throttle or controlled throttle.
Yeah, because this car, even though the engine is built, it's never really been run in, and also a lot of this stuff's been lying up for quite some time. So we're hoping everything still works the way it was.
Well, it started and run.
It started and run.
That's always a good point.
That's a good start.
It wasn't coughing and spluttering, so the map sensor is probably working. You know, there's certain things just a car comes off the trailer here and it's this far in the company, we really nearly know what sensor's gone before we get it in here.
Yeah.
Just having done hundreds of them in the past.
I think it seems to be okay on it. Again, we'll let you get to work. We're going to not be in your way anymore. We're going to go explore the rest of the TDP and everything else. And we'll let you guys get back to it. Looking forward to seeing how it goes.
No problem.
So the car is just being prepared, all the sensors are being put on, just the base map is being put on the car, so there's not much we can really show you, but we've got a lot of cool little projects that are being worked on here at Trackday Performance, so we'll have a quick look around, see what we find. Again, we're not big car experts, so we're probably not going to know a lot of what's here. We do know what this is, because this is our Drift Games mechanic Wayne Curran's Curran Motorsport car. This was sold to another guy a couple of years ago, now it's been sold again, but it's a really, really good car, and it's now looks like it's being refreshed to come back out doing some competitive drifting, which is great to see a car of this quality coming back. A lot of Mark II Escorts, that kind of stuff. This is a really, really slick one.
Sequential boxing.
Yeah, let's have a look under the bonnet and see what we got.
It's like, is it standard enough?
Clean.
Oh, it's not even a standard engine.
It's a Honda engine, A20 or a 1.8?
I swear our knowledge is going down
I think it's
now.
maybe like a 1.8, but independent throttle bodies, as you can see, completely spotless underneath. This is very special.
We've seen this at a few of the track days before.
This thing is, well, essentially a time attack car, but it's a custom built kit car that runs a Honda S2000 engine turboed, and it's probably the most ridiculous thing. A sequential gearbox, full custom everything.
See, this must be a very light car. That's a very powerful engine.
It's definitely, you know,
and it's on paddle shifts as well.
yeah, like it's all carbon fiber. So I would imagine this car is about, you know, 750, 800 kilos with somewhere around, I think now it's going to run over 500 horsepower, so that'll be weapon fast. It's even got an adjustable wing, did you see that?
No.
So it actually has an adjustable wing, pneumatic wing, so you can adjust it for different tracks and that kind of stuff, so that's pretty cool.
That doesn't work with braking when you...
Yeah.
Does it?
When you brake, it actually moves. It's got all the pneumatic stuff, so when you brake, it actually gives the wing a little bit of a kick up as well, so...
Looks like a death-proof car.
It's very, very cool. Like, look at the mounting of this differential in this rally car. That, to me, seems like overkill, but that is a very protected rear differential on this car. We did have a little look at this before of this project that started in Motorsport 56. So there's a Honda S2000, there'll be a time attack car, and this one's going to have a V8 turboed Maserati V8 in a Honda S2000.
And it's a BMW DSG gearbox going in.
Yeah, if that makes sense, I don't know if it does. Another Fiesta rally car.
I imagine so.
So this is like a proper...
See, look at the detail the rally guys go in. Like, look at the door cards. Like,
I love this.
The neatest thing ever.
So you can literally, you have your door cards and you can close the cage on them. That's very cool. Yeah, this is kind of where a lot of the longer term projects, I guess, are in this room. So short term projects, which is my car, is getting mapped today, and hopefully we can get in there today with that car mapped and we can get it back to Curran Motorsport and try and get this car finished this week in the second part of this episode. So let's go see what it's like. I think he's turning on a base map on it now, so let's go see how the mapping process is going on.
So your car set on fire.
We're in a fire.
There's a floor mat, and the floor mat's set on fire.
You came at it pretty dramatic there, Josh. You said it went on fire, and then you said the floor mat. See, I thought the car had blown up.
Well,
I was trying to do some work
I want to
in
scare
there.
you a bit.
But everything else okay?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll check it in a bit. So Robbie's running the car in at the moment now, which is not the most exciting thing for us or for you guys. So we've got a couple of hours until he actually gets to the mapping end of things, but we're kind of bored now, so I think we want to go look at some more cars, which I'm sure you guys want to see. And just down the road from here is Motorsport 56, where we know there's some crazy builds going on. So I think we're just going to jump in and surprise the guys there. So we'll be back in a few minutes to see how this thing is getting on.
A few minutes? It takes longer than a few minutes.
It's going to take about 4 hours, yeah. So what power will the little SR20 make? Well, we'll find out very, very soon. But before we do, I want to give a big thank you to one of our partners here at Drift Games, Mobil 1 Oil. You'll see Mobil 1 Oil on every single one of my drift cars, and it is the only oil that I use because it keeps the engines cool and reliable throughout the entire season. We wouldn't use anything else, and we advise you guys to use the same. Check out their full range of lubricants on their website now.
So we're turning up to Bob's now, and we haven't let them. We don't even know if they're there.
We don't even know if they're there. We just have assumed that because they're so dedicated to their job, that they're going to be there all day, every day. And when we call in, they should be there. So I'm going to try and negotiate this bumpy lane in your horrendously stiff Fiat. The power.
It shouldn't be.
It's in sport mode, so any hill is no issue. I'm going to surprise the boys here. We don't know who's here, what's happening. They don't know we're coming with the camera. This could be the biggest fright.
He's got his earphones.
Don't do that. Don't ever do that again.
I was like, it'll be funny until he punches me in the face.
Like the last person I expected to see when I felt something.
So we were in Robbie's mapping one of my cars. And we got bored and we were like, let's just go and see what the boys are doing. Let's see what cool projects you've got. This is Declan Barnes' car. What's he getting done?
Tunnel, front rear space frame, and a few bits and bobs.
Tiny job, isn't it? Planning and hitting things.
I think he's doing that competing.
Similar to what's on my 180. Sometimes simple is best. You see, Jimmy's car is finished.
Yeah, it's getting there, yeah. See, he bought a BMW, and he's been doing all the bashes.
That's the problem.
And now he's like pouring money into the BMW and doing track days. He's like, oh yeah, we'll just leave that for a while.
Isn't this a very rare car?
Pontiac Trans Am, yeah, very much so.
This one's actually, it's crazy good. Like this is like big money being spent. See that pallet there? So that's a full front chassis.
What?
Wow.
It's gonna be like a
71.
2020 Camaro or Firebird, whatever you call it. Like that pallet is 30k.
This pallet.
Yeah. And it's like, your man is a lunatic.
The Pontiac Trans Am, of all things. And this is actually not a bad spec. So that's a 455. This is the shaker hood on these, which is like kind of a rare model on them. So like basically when you close the bonnet, which is very difficult. Yeah, it kind of goes back and in and down. But basically, which I know to break. So when that shakes. It shakes basically when you're driving, like when the car is revving. So it's like called a shaker hood, but they're quite rare. This is an interesting fact that you wouldn't know. Why this car exists, or the Pontiac GTO, which is I think the one before this or around this time, was actually John DeLorean, who made the DeLorean, was working in General Motors at the time, as far as I remember. And then he was told to go to one of the companies that was the most boring company in the whole of General Motors, which was Pontiac, which just made like family sedans and stuff like that. And he ended up taking a massive engine and putting it and building this Trans Am, essentially, or the GTO, then the Trans Am. So he was actually responsible for them actually making sports cars. And he was told by them that it would never work, and then it was one of the most popular cars. So that's why I know a little bit about them, which is interesting, as you wouldn't think I'd know.
4 years banging on about these yokes, and I still can't tell.
Yeah, that's because you have your earphones in, Ryan, and you don't know this. It's just, yeah. And this is still running.
Still, yeah, she started in a while, but it runs.
It's a tasty car though. That's one of the top spec European Drift Masters cars. Just chilling in the shed in Wicklow. One car that I can't ignore is this one we can get ignore. So what is it? Where did it come from?
Datsun Sunny.
It's a Datsun Sunny pickup.
Yeah, big squeeze for an S1.
I was about to say,
There's not much room in there.
I was about to say, he ain't got a turbo. He couldn't put one in. He'd have to put an intercooler somewhere over here. So
I actually thought if you did put a turbo on, I'd get one of the small intercoolers, we'd mount it
and put it on the front bumper. That would be very cool. So Bob's doing some wiring and bits and pieces.
Yeah,
it's nice to see an SR look like a big engine for once, isn't it? It's nice to see an SR look meaty. And it's like, oh, it's a big engine conversion. It's an SR. Check this out. Look at this.
That is a big toolbox.
That's a big toolbox.
And a lot of stickers.
A lot of stickers. There's more stickers on. It probably takes longer to put stickers on this than on my drift car. To be honest.
More than a livery than you drift car.
Yeah, I think so. So this is where the guys are assembling all the engines. Obviously they do a lot of 2Js and SR20s and engine conversions and V8s and all that kind of stuff. So This is where they all get assembled, and then they obviously get put in the cars outside. So we've checked out everything here at Motorsport 56. We've killed a couple of hours as Robbie ran in the new engine on the car. It's time to go back to TDP now, and I'm going to use my magic hand. I don't know if you've seen this, but actually if I use this hand, we can teleport from here all the way to Trackday Performance. You don't even have to be on the journey. It's incredible. Watch this. Boom, and we're back in TDP.ie, ready to see what's been happening with the orange 180, which we're now calling the bash car. And this car, in another episode, in the next episode, you're going to see us do all the aesthetics to it, but its most important thing was to make it reliable. And the car itself has now done a run-in, so we were hoping to get it all finished up today and get it buttoned up. Robbie's about to do some last-minute tweaks to the car. We're going to do some power runs. We're going to have a chat with Robbie about the car, and then hopefully we have a car that's ready to shred. Very loud. We don't pretend to know what's going on there on that screen. It just looks like numbers and figures. So it looks like it's running pretty good.
Yeah, that's probably it now. On 95, you won't get much more power than that on that setup.
And it seems reliable enough, not under too much pressure at that.
No, it's fine to run it at that. Yeah, it's fine.
So that looked like, so we were looking at the figure on the screen, and I'm trying to figure out that this must be the figure that is sitting there. It comes from the wheels, right? The whole.
Yeah, I'll show you now. We've got traditional SR20 curve here, just after 6,000. 6,500, there's always a bit of a drop off. There's only a couple of cam manufacturers that manage to dodge that, but nearly everybody falls into this little drop off just after 6.5. So we've minimized that as much as we could. Earlier on, there would have been a huge drop there in previous maps. And
so it's doing 375 brake horsepower to the wheels.
Yes, that figure, 377.7 is the best it made. Well, let's see. The best it made was 377.7 on run number 3. And the reason you get some variance more than, I wasn't changing too much, the reason variance there is I was running it at different coolant temperatures, and different air inlet temperatures just to check it was safe. Yeah. And it was still providing consistent power. Now if you get a problem with an engine, you'll see that it will like drop rapidly. So if the coolant temperature goes up 10 degrees, sometimes engines will drop 20 horsepower or whatever, and that means that something's not right. You shouldn't run it that hard at that temperature range, but this is varying 3 or 4 horsepower from 65 degrees water temperature right up to 90.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly not disappointed with the
results. It looks good to me. I'm happy now.
I'm looking forward now to getting the car finished. So thank you, Robbie. I really appreciate your time and effort. We now have a car that runs 425 wheel horsepower, 370 something wheel horsepower, more than enough for a Drift Games bash or a practice day, and it's doing that quite reliably and keeping the cool and temperatures down. I'm just gonna drive it now. So next thing to do is pack it up on the trailer and head off. This car has only really been given 60% attention in the past, so now it's time to make it look as good as I wanted to originally. It looks okay. We want to do a lot of aesthetic changes. We want to make it one of the prettiest 180s in the world. We've got another day to do that. We've got a lot of parts, we've got a lot of stuff we want to put on. It's going to be a big transformation. We still need to get alignment done, we still need to get the brakes done, and it's going to look awesome. So we have a lot more work to do, so catch up on the next episode on our Drift Games vlog, and we'll be going through all of those things step by step. So you guys check that out, and we'll see you in the next one. So the little SR20 made 415 horsepower at the flywheel. I'm pretty happy with that. Next up, we got to get this car back to Current Motorsport and make it look like one of the prettiest 180s in the country. Can we get it done? Join us next time on the next episode of the Drift Games vlog.